Chapter 23. As is his controlling manner, the Viper has ordered another meeting. Everyone in the car has been told to skip dinner and be in the yard on the first recreation move. Something must be brewing in his evil mind. I want to skip the meeting, but there is no way I can. Missing any kind of summons from Steve could send him over the edge. Missing chow pisses me off because it's the first time we're getting food. The bologna and cheese sandwiches get old quick. I pass the chow hall, hungrier than a Hebrew slave. The smell of cooked chicken wafts over my senses. Anger engulfs me more and more with each step. I inhale the warm summer air, taking in my surroundings. I see him in the distance. The Viper is in the east corner of the baseball field. Walking toward him, I make a rough mental count of the men that Steve sees as soldiers. He basks in the spotlight of what he sees as his worshippers' attention. My rough count is 73. The numbers are increasing. There are new recruits here, mostly East Coast felons. Some are here looking for protection. Others truly worship Steve as their god of gods, the man who saved their blood from being spilled. I wonder how many really despise the Savior. I laugh at the thought internally. Curious convicts look on from other parts of the yard as we form a circle around the Viper. The number of combatants in our small prison army shows unity, strength. Steve, the vicious Viper, has been recruiting new guys from other places. North Carolina, West Virginia, 2 guys from Texas, and 1 big fella from Oklahoma. We are labeled independents. Most of us dislike white gang members for good reasons. For years, white gang members oppressed white prisoners who simply wanted to do their own time. Independents have now learned that we have strength in numbers. With numbers, we no longer have to be victimized. Most independents have a desire to rid the prison we are in of white gang members. Steve has installed these thoughts in all of us. This way of thinking is part of his sales pitch. His dream of prison prominence intensifies with each waking day. With a hand raised in the air, Steve brings silence over the men. His leadership qualities and his way of grabbing the attention of the heartless felons around him reminds me of President Reagan's abilities. His voice erupts. I just want to make sure all of you guys are here. As you can see, our car is getting bigger, and I'm pleased with that. We need to all start coming together like this once a week. You know we are all brothers here. There are some new youngsters in our ranks that need to be schooled. Plus, we need to know who everyone is. One of the reasons I called this meeting is because of these fucking white gang members. I'm fed up with them always trying to oppress their own race and bowing down like cowards to other races. They're running around here talking that white pride shit while buying dope from the jigs. Everyone knows what happened to that kid from Jersey, right? Everyone answers yes in unison, like good kindergarten students listening to their teacher. I see a gun tower window open. The guard inside makes sure we can hear him chamber a live round in his rifle. Just a little notice that if things get out of control, he's there, locked and loaded. Steve continues with his lecture. Obviously, he was with the blacks. He was here before we got here, but we gave him the option to ride with us, to come back home. He made his choice, and everyone sees what that choice got him. None of his so-called people helped him. That is why you men need to know that what we got here is a brotherhood. Each one of us are our brother's keeper. We have to have each other's back 24/7. People nod their heads, dazzled by Steve's words. The Viper continues. Is there anyone here who really does not want to be a part of this car? If so, speak up now. You can walk away with no repercussions. I almost raise my hand, but the no repercussions thing is a lie. There is no honor among thieves. In here, your word is only as good as the person you give it to. If you leave the car, you're turning your back on your brothers, meaning your blood is worthless to this group. Just reminded, as they are, about what happened to Dog, who would leave now? I talked to Adam, Dennis, and Ronnie about this. No objections from them. You can walk away. Be on your own. Steve pauses, giving us all time to think. On your own, you can become a victim to these white gang bitches or have the niggers rape you. Steve says this sarcastically, but he delivers the message. We understand the meaning. I keep my hand at my side like everyone else. No one jumps at the offer to walk away from the car. Everyone in the circle is likely thinking the same as I. Those thoughts are of Dog, and his desperation as he looked around for help that never came. I consider the possibilities. The blacks trying to extort me, or any of the many other things that lurk in Big Sandy's dark waters when you're alone. I am convinced once again that the car is my only option. Walking away could be detrimental to my health. I stay silent, choosing what I think is the better of the two evils. There is a food chain in prison. Those alone are at the bottom waiting to be eaten alive, and there are many bottom feeders housed in here, the lowest of the low, looking to scrounge from whomever, whenever, and wherever. Some will take by force, some by fear or manipulation, while others will take by stealing without the victim knowing who the predator is. Steve's words, being raped by the blacks, are used to install fear, a manipulative tool at his disposal. Rape happens, but not too often. Homosexuals are a dime a dozen around here. If any blacks raped a white prisoner, it would be a transgression so severe it would set off an explosive firestorm of violence. When it comes to raping someone from another race, physical violence is not a possibility. It is a requirement, all repercussions to the wind. Rape would turn into death for the perpetrator. The rapist would be the target of many. Someone would get him. The rape comments were simply to shake up the new guys, to cement their commitment to the car. If they want protection, they need to become the protector. Strength in numbers prevents rape. The Viper raises his hand, quieting the masses and grabbing the stage once again. I'm done with it. I'm ready to get rid of these gang members. I haven't called the shot yet for the sake of all of you, but I ain't taking much more of what they are putting on us. So everyone needs to be on point, ready for battle. If you get the word, we got a baseball game, bring your cleats, that means it's going down. Be here suited, booted, and bring your knives. We will meet right here. I don't want none of you brothers alone. Find someone in the car that's in your unit so you can hold each other down. We're getting on the battle buddy system. Be with that bro all the time. Hanging out, going to chow, the shower, yard, wherever. When you go to the shower, have a point man. Adam chimes in. I hope everyone can see and feel the friction between us and them scumbags. There is animosity. They are watching us. They are worried we got our numbers up. Don't think for a minute that they won't try to make a move on any one of us. Stay safe and be careful, men. We say our goodbyes shaking hands when the rally comes to a close. Hunger swells in my stomach. I reflect on Steve's specific instructions not to be caught alone. Maybe his own paranoia is causing him to overreact. But in this environment, anything is possible, and no one wants to get caught slipping. Scared people do unimaginable things. Scared people want to leave someone else's blood on the razor wire rather than having theirs dripping from it. There are only 40 white gang members here. The Boston-New York car has a little over 70. Other small independent white cars despise white gang members as much as our car does. The Ohio Independents have about 20 guys in their ride. Their shot caller is a man serving nearly 300 years for armed bank robbery. Almost every independent white car hates white gang members. If we went to war with the gang members, other cars would join in the disposal of them, including aces. The independent movement has gained traction amongst white prisoners in the federal system. It was born out of years of gang members oppressing white cons who had no backing, no help. White prisoners were forced to fold the white gang members' demands. Those demands came in many forms: money, commissary, family forced to visit and bring narcotics into prison, being told they were not allowed to change television channels, being moved from cell to cell, being forced to live with less desirable prisoners. Many times knives would be cut out of their beds and lockers. When guards discover these alterations, the white non-gang members face the consequences. Oppression at its best in this unforgiving prison world. Oppression at the hands of those who claimed to love their own people and wanted to lift up their race. The DWB gang has always been one of the most brutal oppressors. DWB stands for Dirty White Boys. The name says it all. When a gang's name starts with the word dirty, everything that comes after is pollution. Some prisoners have family with money in the real world. Others have their own money and people in the real world controlling it. In a maximum security federal prison, any prisoner with significant financial resources might as well have an X marked on his back. He is an instant target. Gang members will key in on a prisoner like this. They are easy to spot since they always go to commissary, have nice things, and usually receive lots of mail and visits. Once they determine a mark has money, a plan is devised to extort the unsuspecting victim. The older a potential victim, the better. Older men scare easier, especially when they're new to the prison system. Someone like Mr. Young would have been a perfect victim. His lack of money is the only thing that saved him. White gangs plan these exercises in extortion to the nth detail. Everything is always carefully laid out. It could start with a gang member bumping the target at the microwave, followed by, "Watch where the fuck you're walking, old man." That same guy might cut in front of the target at the washing machine or in the chow line. He might ask the old man, "What the fuck is your problem?" This is all part of the intimidation, all part of the groundwork. Afterwards, 2 other white prisoners might pay the old man's cell a visit. Heavily tattooed, imposing-looking creatures are usually chosen for this part. They inform the prey that the guy who has been bumping into him and disrespecting him does not like him and wants permission to hurt the old man. This is when all the prison movies, the stories the mark has heard, start to manifest into reality. The old man has become the star of the show. 2 protectors have showed up in the nick of time to save him, just like in the movies. The 2 tattooed cons promise to keep the mark safe from the disrespectful maggot pestering him. All of his problems, worries, and fears will disappear in exchange for a small, shall we say, stipend every month. The initial fee might be $2,000, $300 every month thereafter. It is always explained that one is better off paying rather than checking in or dying. To the victims, it always seems like paying the money is the easiest option. Once a mark pays, the gang swings the door open all the way. The victim has exposed his hand. They recognize his fear. He will live a miserable existence at the hands of guys his children's age. The people who should be looking out for him have placed him in a mental version of a WWE cage match. John Cena has delivered an attitude adjustment. These two pieces of filth may stop by the old fella's cell for a candy bar or a soda whenever they feel hungry. They might want other small things, rice, sausages, some beans, anything to sate their hunger. The person who got this all started is part of the same gang as the protectors. He leaves the victim alone. No more problems from him, but the victim's problems have escalated. This was all part of the plan. All three participants reap the continuing benefits of their extortionate scheme. These people never have enough. The prison wheel grinds slowly forward. Before the victim knows it, the oppressors are in his cell again, this time to renegotiate their contract, as if the economy has called for higher payments. Stress, anger, and anxiety are only a few of the emotions that describe what a person experiences under these circumstances. This was not supposed to be part of his sentence. He did not ask for this. His only fault? Age and financial resources. The hyenas will move in and devour him slowly, piece by piece. The same thing happens on the African plains. All wounded gazelles suffer the same fate. Dirty white boys in every sense of filth. This is one of the reasons the independent movement formed within this concrete jungle. Now it's gaining power. Hatred for all white gang members has slowly begun to form in me as well. It has only taken months for my anger toward them to come to a boil. As independents, often we stop gang members from preying on innocent victims. This creates friction between us and them. An explosion is destined to happen. The ingredients are being mixed in the kettle. A violent clash is imminent. The only question is when. Secretly, I cannot wait. I too have pent-up anger that I want to unleash on those I think deserve it. Prison politics embrace neither mercy nor compassion. There are only three responses to an extortion attempt: checking in, fighting back, or paying the cost. In the moment, fear causes people to take the easiest available option. In prison, rash decisions tend to be the wrong ones in the long run. Regardless of his age, when the first bump comes at the microwave, the old man should swing at the bully. Cops will respond, the fight will be broken up, and the old man will go to the SHU pending transfer to another prison, with the all-important good detention order. A detention order is a sheet of paper explaining why a person is being housed in the SHU. If a person checks in, seeks protective custody, the paper outlines that. If it is for a fight or investigation, the protective order outlines that as well. This single piece of paper can either be one's saving grace or one's doom. When a person is transferred to another prison, other prisoners will demand to see the detention order. If it says the wrong thing, the prisoner will be assaulted on the spot, and the SHU will be his home for years. He'll go from prison to prison. With a good detention order for fighting back, a prisoner paves his own way. The extortion attempt will likely be the last one he experiences. Gang members know how to apply pressure and who to apply it to. Most people want easy prey. A person who fights back is a problem. Extracting money from a person who fights back never happens. Everyone loses, including the gang members, if they push the wrong person into the corner. We outnumber the white gang members, and I'm looking forward to the eruption between us and them. Backing them into a corner gives me a small sense of joy. My heart hardens more and more, especially toward them. Secretly, I like the hardening. Chapter 24. In here, sports is one of my only stress relievers. Softball season is about to start and our shot caller, the Viper, is starting a team. Most people enjoy softball, playing or watching. I quickly learned that softball is Big Sandy's favorite pastime. But even softball comes with violence, contaminating my one escape from here. Although the team is being made up of guys from the car, Steve wants to name the team the Boston Red Sox. As a Yankees fan, it is hard to play for a team with that name. I'd prefer to play on another team, but once again, Steve would never allow it. Because I'm already in the car and a good ball player, I have no choice. Steve enjoys the game, and not wanting to play for him could get me beat off the yard. The way he would spin it is that I turn my back on my brothers. I am now part of the Vipers Red Sox organization. Softball is a way to get outside of the razor wire. It gives me something to look forward to in a place where meaning is hard to come by. For most men in prison, sports is an outlet, whether softball, basketball, football, or handball. Playing occupies your mind. When you're involved in an athletic contest, competing against others, you're focused on the game, not on the prison politics. You find yourself somewhere else. You might be behind Yankee Stadium playing handball, or at a high school football game back in Texas. Perhaps at a basketball game on a court in Baltimore. You're anywhere but here, anywhere but Big Sandy. A man's worries and troubles are gone for the moment, mentally erased for that short period of time. It only lasts for as long as the game goes on, but it is a break from the internal mental struggle that comes with each waking day in prison. Steve is the pitcher. I am on second base. Our shortstop is Luke, the best shortstop in the prison. Ronnie Wilson from Lowell, Massachusetts, is on third. Adam has left field. When the other pieces are mixed in, we look like the team to beat. Ronnie comes off as a real tough guy. Like Steve, Adam, and Dennis, he came here from USP Beaumont in Texas. Beaumont is nicknamed Bloody Beaumont by both staff and prisoners. Because of the violence, USP Beaumont was closed for some time. All the prisoners were transferred to other prisons. Many were sent here. Some say Beaumont makes Big Sandy look like child's play. If Beaumont was worse than this place, I am thankful I never made it there. United States penitentiaries, or USPs, are designated for the worst of the worst. They are mostly designated for the worst men that society has to offer, the most violent, the most ready for mayhem. These prisons are holding centers for society's undesirables, and I find myself here. I am one of our castaways simply because I exercised my constitutional right to trial. The prosecutor offered a plea offer that could have resulted in a 10-year term, which would have sent me to a lower security prison, a federal correctional institution. Because I didn't accept the plea offer, our criminal justice system sent me to a United States penitentiary. That has nothing to do with either correction or rehabilitation. Every breath of fresh air here could be my last. I have known this since day one. My reality and every other prisoner's as well. Federal correctional institutions, or FCIs, have less violence, and prisoners are rarely stabbed or killed in those facilities. While my goal is to get out of prison, the more realistic goal is to make it to an FCI. Whether I will make it is anyone's guess. For now, I am here with the Lions. It does not take long before the one thing I actually find a moment of happiness in begins to crumble. Just like crackers in a fat man's hand over a hot bowl of soup, our softball team is turning into dust. With their two strong personalities, Steve and Ronnie begin to clash on the diamond. Ronnie is from a city in Massachusetts that is home to one of the best Irish fighters to ever get in the ring, Irish Mickey Ward. The poverty-stricken city breeds tough guys. Steve is his own tough guy. Mixing the two was like mixing water and oil. Steve is the first to quit the team. Adam follows. Ronnie abandons the team shortly thereafter. We no longer have a team. With its demise, my joy is gone. All we have left is a skeleton of a team. Missing key players, we go from a team to beat to a team that cannot win. Once Steve quit the team, he showed me his true character. Steve's a quitter. More and more I can see through his facade. Occasionally something will happen in life that will change one's opinion of someone in an irrevocable way. When that happens, it shatters the idea someone has built up around that person. If the Viper cannot handle the operations of a prison softball team without quitting, then how can he run the car or send young men into a prison battle? Maybe he is not a Viper at all. Perhaps he is nothing more than a small garter snake. Today, I am forced to see Steve for the person he is, the fallible human he has always been. No longer the Viper to me, he is simply an egotistic maniac serving life, bent on controlling everyone and everything he can until he is found out. Until other people see what I see, he will remain our shot caller. Any respect I had for him is gone. Steve is a master manipulator, good with words and stories of his life experiences. These stories captivate people, draw them in, and give Steve followers. And with followers, power. That power enables Steve to be the shot caller. So many of these men need a leader because they cannot think for themselves. In this dangerous place, Steve is the comforter for so many. Falling under the spell is easy. I did it just like the rest of the men in the car did. Our new Red Sox team is 1-5. We have become fodder for the prison's hecklers. Although we are not good, I see the team as a plus because it takes me out of prison and gives me and some of the others a small piece of fun. Anything good in Big Sandy rarely lasts long. Like most things here, baseball season will shatter like a plate glass window, colliding with a boulder. It's a warm Saturday afternoon. The sun is shining. A cool breeze blows through the yard. It's the 5th inning, and by some miracle, we are winning. The batter hits a pop fly out to the outfield right behind our shortstop. Luke backs up and makes the catch. He raises his hands in triumph, a form of bravado as if he just won the World Series. During Luke's performance, the guy on third base tags up, running home to score a run for the Mexican team. Good catch, Luke, but why don't you fucking pay attention? The guy at third just ran home, I snarl. Luke doesn't like being scolded. He replies, man, suck me. What did you just fucking say? I ask, giving Luke a chance to retract his statement. All eyes are on me and Luke. Everyone knows he just committed a prison sin by inviting me to suck him. We are walking towards each other. My fury starts to rise. My glove comes off. Luke removes his sunglasses. In a nonchalant manner, he says, I said you and everyone else on this field that don't like it can suck my... I do not let him finish the sentence. I hit him with an overhand right followed by a left and another right. A hook to the temple finishes him. Luke falls to the sand, covering his nose with his hand. His pride devastated. He gets to his feet slowly. Blood falls from his nose to the sand. He knows he just broke 2 separate cardinal prison rules. For his violation, his nose is broken. You never invite anyone to your midsection, not in here, never another race. The opposing team was filled with Mexicans. I'm not the only person Luke's words invited to his love muscle. He invited them as well. Had I not handled it immediately, this could have easily caused a bigger issue. A guard manning the yard stares directly at us. It is a given we are heading to the shoe. The cop calls us to the fence to inquire. The softball hit you in the face, correct? He's giving us a chance for some reason. Luke stands there with an expression on his face that says, you just seen that guy hit me. Why are you asking me that? Get me out of here. Nabs, another guy in the car, speaks up. Of course the baseball hit him. He's okay, right, Luke? He says this as he slaps Luke on the back. It's like they're old pals. Yeah, the ball jumped up and hit me, Luke says while covering his face with a bloody t-shirt. Do you need to see medical, the guard asks. Nab answers for Luke. No, he's all right, CO. He's a big boy. We got him. Nab puts his arm around Luke and guides him out of the guard's earshot. Listen, you stupid motherfucker. You're going to apologize to those Mexicans and the guys on the team, or you're getting butchered out here, you piece of shit. You're going to be the dick sucker. And when you're done, you and I, tough guy, we're going to see Steve and Adam so they can deal with you. Nab's stern Rhode Island accent scares Luke. Nab has been in for 6 years on a 15-year bit. Both of his parents have passed away since his arrest. When they died, some people said he went crazy. Drug use, alcohol, and violence. Nabs has no problem stabbing another man without hesitation. He is known for this. He always has a knife on him. These are not idle threats. Like a scolded schoolboy, Luke apologizes to everyone for his disrespect. His own words could have killed him. In the penitentiary, people are always looking for a reason to send things spiraling out of control. These may seem like small things to those in the free world. This unforgiving world twists them up and makes them big. Angry men tend to make up reasons to unleash their pent-up anguish, to vent on other prisoners. My first physical confrontation brings me new respect. Violence is the one thing everyone respects in this dungeon. When people recognize that you are a person who will inflict or resort to violence, other convicts respect you. Fighting is rarely a fair endeavor at Big Sandy. Today I was able to put on a little show, demonstrate that I am good with my hands. I was an accomplished amateur boxer growing up. Using my hands comes naturally to me. But knowing how to fight well could turn out to be a problem. If people fear you, they will not hesitate to use a weapon or to send 5 guys at once to attack you. Putting my fighting skills on display may or may not be a good thing. Time will tell. Letting Luke's transgressions go unanswered would have been worse, though. It would have left me looking like a punk, a coward. Under those circumstances, I would have been the one answering to Steve and Adam. Expressions of cowardice aren't tolerated. That would have been my one-way ticket to the shoe after a savage beating. As expected, Steve is unhappy with Luke's actions. This issue causes others to remember that there was a previous issue where Luke got drunk and invited another guy to his groin. He was slapped around for that offense, although what Adam had wanted to do was throw him over the upstairs railing. Instead, he was given a pass and a warning to watch how he spoke to people in the future. What really saved Luke was that he's a gunsmith, and thus valuable to the car. He was the car's primary knife maker when the car's arsenal had to be boosted. Luke would spend countless hours scraping lines in the steel beds with stainless steel tools and cutting knives out of the beds. Luke would then sharpen the metal into fine points. In prison, knife making is a long, tedious process that most don't want to undertake. Luke would do this task for hours, never growing tired. Now that the car's weapons stockpile is sufficient, Luke is expendable. According to Steve, the broken nose is not adequate punishment. Steve wants Luke stabbed for his second violation. Other guys in the car who like him advocate on Luke's behalf. They call for a beating that results in him leaving the yard. To appease the soldiers, Steve reluctantly agrees to the beating. After all, Luke had 2 strikes, not 3. But Luke's out all the same. 2 missiles are selected. One is a younger guy from Pennsylvania named Bolts. The other is called ID. Neither man objects to the order to assault Luke. This brings a smile to Steve's wicked face. He basks in those who never object to his directions. In a sick way, I think it excites him that he has this manipulating power. The hit happens that night. Luke is sitting at the table when Bolt sneaks up on him, a lioness in tall African grass. Leather gloves on, Bolt swings wildly from the side. Luke does not fall, but he is stunned. ID strikes from the other side. Luke screams out in agony and falls to the floor, gaining the guard's attention. I watch from atop the steps as both men kick and punch their helpless victim. The attack continues until more staff arrive to separate the missiles from their target. Luke is lifted off the floor, beat up, bloody, and likely relieved to be getting a transfer far away from this car, this place of despair. If that is all it takes to get away from Steve, maybe I should volunteer for a good beating. A ridiculous thought, maybe, but desperate men think of desperate measures. I cannot fathom any other place being worse than this. There's nowhere that's more volatile than Big Sandy. Maybe I should take the change. Maybe this isn't a bad idea. Bolts and ID are both cuffed up. They look up at Steve for praise. He stands at his cell door like a proud father. Bolts looks at me nodding his shiny bald head as if he's telling me I owe him now. If he thinks that, he is sadly mistaken. People like Bolts and ID are always trying to prove their worth to Steve. They come in all shapes and sizes. Little do they realize that Steve couldn't care less about them. He has his own agenda. Using these slugs to achieve his agenda is just part of the plan. Chapter 25. I'm beginning to feel like a desperate fowl caught in a hunter's trap. I'm starting to dislike the guys in the car. I dislike Steve more each day. I dislike him the most. Seeing through his manipulation game gets easier when I pay attention to his actions, the decisions he makes, the way he talks to people. All of these paint a different picture. I was never a follower in the free world. When Adam and Dennis first approached me, I felt I had no choice except to buy into the car's ideology and objectives. Everything they sold me about the car, the brotherhood, is turning out to be a farce. Time has a way of revealing things. Most of the guys in the car are simply along for the ride. They were fed the same stories I was. Fear made most of us join the car. Big Sandy leaves men in a damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of position. Steve has a way of making people feel like they are indebted to him for being so kind as to allow us into the fold. As a result, when Steve makes a request, no matter what it is, people jump to attention to please the master puppeteer. Assaulting people, making weapons, carrying them to the yard, giving him money, transporting contraband. When he beckons, men answer. I decided not to be one of Steve's do-boys for too long. Frank feels the same way. It's how he's felt since his first day on the compound. Our pockets are empty, so Frank suggests we find a prison hustle. We juggle ideas back and forth, but ultimately, we decide that moonshining is the only real option we have. Red introduced me to the lucrative business of prison intoxicants. Now Frank wants me to be his partner. Before long, I'm smuggling hundreds of sweet and low packets out of the kitchen. I was agitated when Steve had me doing it for him for free. Now that it benefits me, I have no problem with it. Business kicks off with us cutting up potatoes, opening hundreds of sweet and low sackets, and mixing everything together in a bag. Frank agrees to hide the first batch in his locker. I'll take the next one. In 4 days, we turn water into wine, much like Jesus. I suspect the Lord's process was a little different than ours. We put our makeshift lab together. A few hours later, we have homemade vodka. We both take a small sip of our prison potion. Damn, I say, coughing into my hand. Who the hell has the balls to drink this shit? Oh, you'll see who has the balls to drink it in a minute or two, Frank says, rubbing his hands together like an excited child. We put a small amount of our concoction on a spoon, turn out the lights, and put fire to it. A blue flame dances in the spoon. Like a gypsy belly dancer, the dance is reflected in our eyes. That's gas, Chad. We got gas. And with gas, we got cash. Gas is prison slang for high-quality alcohol. People are always looking for gas. Gas can chase their sorrows away. We fill 8 empty peanut butter jars. I do the math in my head. 8 bottles, at $8 apiece, we have $320 in jailhouse money. We get $160 apiece. Word spreads that the 2 white boys have some serious rocket fuel for sale. On a Friday evening, it takes all of 20 minutes to sell out. We timed things so we had our juice ready for the start of the weekend. Even in prison, weekend is party time. Frank and I have our own version of Grey Goose. With our first success, our business relationship is cemented. We head to the local hangout, Red's room, where he is tattooing Sad Boy, the Serrano's gang member I played handball with when I first arrived. He sips his peanut butter jar of prison vodka as the needle drills into his skin. Sad Boy has a sidekick, Droopy, with him, his own jar in hand. Even though we are different races and in different cars, the five of us have become close. If anything happened with the blacks, our car would join forces with the Mexicans. Feeling good off the moonshine, Sad Boy starts imitating Steve. It's uncanny. He's doing it almost perfectly. Chad, Frank, I need both of you to start wearing your boots to chow so you can hide Sweet and Low in them for me. Don't forget the gang members have to go. Sad Boy says this in a fake Boston accent, missing as many R's as he can. He knows we disdain Steve. Red pulls the needle from Sad Boy's arm and doubles over laughing. Frank and I are in tears. Droopy joins in. He's playing Dennis. Steve is bald-headed, skinny, no eyebrows or facial hair. When he talks, he sounds like he just sucked a helium-filled balloon down his throat. This guy is my leader? What an idiot I am. This thought in conjunction with Sad Boy's jokes send me into hysterical laughter. For the first time in a long time, I am laughing so hard I begin to cry. Grateful that the small jokes take me out of prison. The gang that Sad Boy belongs to, the Serranos, is the most serious gang in federal prison in my view. They demand respect and have no problem turning to extreme violence at the drop of a hat to achieve their goals. Serranos have each other's back, no matter the situation or who the problem is with. It doesn't matter if it's another prisoner, a guard, or even the warden. They will attack like a pack of wild dogs if ordered to do so by their shot caller. The shot caller is usually a black hand. Black hands are the men who run the Mexican mafia, who in turn run the Serranos. The Serranos have a lot of rules. One of their rules is that they are not allowed to do business with blacks. Sad Boy was accused of drinking with a black prisoner while at an FCI in Texas. He says the accusations were false, but it resulted in him being beat off the yard. The concomitant security level increase landed him at Big Sandy. Droopy had his own problems at another FCI. He has a penchant for heroin, so if I had to guess, his transfer to the bluegrass state likely stems from his opium addiction. Droopy is a fearless felon. 2 or 3 times a week, he sneaks into the lieutenant's office, where staff members keep their personal items. The office door is never locked, almost inviting Droopy to stop by. He usually leaves with a pack of cigarettes or a can of chewing tobacco to pay for his growing heroin habit. Droopy's petty larceny does not persuade staff to stop leaving their things laying around. If they continue to leave their things laying around, they will continue to find their way into the hands of this wonderful magician. Today, he is eating a crab salad with his alcohol. Knowing crab salad is not on the commissary, I ask, "Where did you get that?" "Oh, check it out, Holmes. I got hungry, so I stopped by the lieutenant's office and grabbed it out of the fridge. I seen it there. Thought they'd left it for me." He sticks his tongue out as he laughs. Again, I find myself crying from the laughter along with everyone else. "Man, I ain't never going to get this tattoo done with you crazy motherfuckers in here," Red says when he can catch a breath. They say there is a fool born every day, and every time Droopy strikes the lieutenant's office, the saying is manifested. The fire alarm startles us, breaking up our laughter. No one seems to know what is going on. This is the first time any of us heard a fire alarm go off in prison. Droopy leaves the room to investigate. When he returns, Sad Boy asks, "What the fuck are they doing? Are we in elementary school doing fire drills now?" "Nah, Holmes. They said that dumbass white Crip kid hit the fire alarm on accident," Droopy replies. "Who, Spivey?" I ask. "Yeah, that's him. Everyone outside, let's go, men. Fire in the building, everyone out." Staff are in the unit ushering us outside. Panic strikes the dorm. Men scramble to hide knives and other contraband. More staff are swarming the unit, ushering all of us into line so we can be patted down for shanks, drugs, cell phones, or other contraband. A Puerto Rican guy named Vic from New York, who I have become friends with, is caught wrapping a menacing-looking knife into clothes on his way to hide it in the washing machine. Vic has a lot of influence in here. 2 guards cuff him up. The look on his face is worse than a wild bull at a rodeo. As Vic walks past me in cuffs, he comments, "That dumbass white boy just fucked up my close-to-home transfer." I know that he is talking about Spivey. It won't be long before everyone knows he is the culprit. Once we are all searched, we are led outside. Staff rips every cell apart. Garbage bags filled with wine are carted out of the unit, paraded for all to see. Cells where weapons are found get locked while the people housed in them are located, cuffed, and escorted to the SHU. This was an unexpected shakedown. No one was prepared. Men are upset that they lost knives and contraband. Blood is the only way to pay for the wrongs, as if blood fixes the problem. Spivey looks like a deer caught in the headlights when he hears a DC prisoner call out, "Who the stupid motherfucker pulled the fire alarm?" For a long moment, no one responds. I stare at Spivey, wondering what he's going to do. After another long moment, we hear his voice. "I did the shit on accident." "What? Accident?" Spivey's eyes widen as he swallows. "It was an accident, bro." "Accident? You got everyone fucked up, Slim." I said, "My bad, bro. The shit was not intentional." Before long, the DC prisoners are talking with the Crips. The shot caller for Spivey's gang lives in our unit. After the DC prisoners are done talking to the Crips leader, Spivey gets summoned over to their area. Every car is responsible for their own people. Each car is given an opportunity to discipline those who violate convict rules. Through his own ignorance, Spivey has violated prison rules. To prevent things from escalating, his own people have to deal with him. Small things can go from 0 to 100 in a matter of seconds. White prisoners and black gangs are easy marks when they transgress or break rules. In most cases, black gang members don't really want a white person in their gang, so when he does violate prison conduct, hurting him comes easy. The cries for Spivey's blood ensure his imminent assault. Prison politics have dictated Spivey's fate. The sole atonement for his transgressions is the shedding of his blood, as if he were stuck in Old Testament times. All eyes are on Spivey. He knows what's in store. Despite the fact that violence is waiting to greet him, he is courageous. He does not take the walk of shame. Not checking in could cost him his life. He chooses to gamble. Most of the white prisoners consider Spivey a race traitor. This fuels their hatred of him. Some blacks dislike him because they believe he is out of place. Championing the attack on him was easy. Before long, Spivey is in a cell with one of his Crip brothers to be disciplined. Banging and slamming can be heard coming from the cell. It takes no more than 5 minutes. The two combatants emerge from the cell. Spivey has a swollen eye. But the man sent in to mete out discipline looks worse. Blood trickles from his lip. The shot callers for DC and New York are not pleased. None of Spivey's blood has been shed. This prompts the Crip shot caller to call for a second round. The second time will likely be worse. It is. 2 Crip gang members go into the cell, Spivey in tow. One man stands in front of the cell door blocking any escape. The banging begins again. As I predicted, round 2 was less favorable to Spivey. The door is being slammed into. It's probably Spivey attempting to escape. The man holding the door looks in. Once he is satisfied by what he sees, he moves away, allowing Spivey to exit. Spivey comes out, swinging his fist while the 2 attackers pursue him into the day room. One with a shiny piece of metal, the other with a padlock tied to a belt. Spivey retreats, his face a bloody mess, stab wounds to his neck and back. He stumbles to the guard's office in search of a reprieve. He yells for a nurse. The cop panics. Fumbling for his radio, he knocks it to the ground. The guard throws himself at the radio, grabs it with both hands, and hits the deuces. Once again, staff members fill the unit. They order everyone to lock in. Surprisingly, everyone complies without protest. They know in the eyes of the decision makers, this is a minor incident. This lock-in won't last long. Blood still dripping off him, Spivey addresses the unit. He's shouting, "Y'all a bunch of drama king-ass bitches, crying like suckers." He walks out of the unit with his head down, a man wounded both physically and emotionally. What a brutal assault like this does to a man's mentality is an interesting study. These attacks have turned many men paranoid. I have not faced a brutal assault, but witnessing these assaults makes me wonder when someone is going to decide that I have done something wrong and deserve to be attacked. After all, this is Big Sandy. It has to happen at some point. With the blood cleaned up, within an hour the cells are unlocked for us all to mingle. Tonight is American Idol night, something many prisoners enjoy. Even the tough guys bring their chairs and sit and watch the show. Like the rest, I park my chair in front of the television 2 times a week to tune in. The show is another small escape to a different place. Happiness, excitement, sadness. The program has all of these. Sometimes I slip off into a daydream. In those dreams, I am at the show, singing along, clapping with the free people to the beat of the song. In reality, though, I am still in my hard plastic chair, my feet planted to the hard, cold concrete floor, and the music is only zipping through my headphones. I look around. I want to see my reality. Most of us are dead men walking. Life seems to have no meaning when you know the rest of it will be spent filled with violence, concrete, and blood. Once you give up, nothing matters. When your life is gone, there's nothing anyone can do to hurt you. I say a silent prayer. I pray that I never tread those waters where I throw the towel in, where I quit on life. For now, my mind focuses on tasting freedom again. It's the only thing that keeps me walking forward each day. Like Nelson Mandela, I am on my own long walk to freedom. There are only a few days of peace before the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas strikes at Dinky's orders. A prisoner named Snow has been prospecting for the gang under Dinky's tutelage. The only problem is, Snow has a drinking problem. In his last drunken stupor, he was disrespecting other white prisoners, saying stupid stuff. Because he was prospecting for the gang, instead of being beat up, he was put on drinking restriction. Instead of following orders, he jumped right back inside the bottle and let that lead him down the road to verbally assaulting some black prisoners. Those transgressions have stamped his ticket. The blacks take their complaints to Dinky, who promises them blood for the disrespect. Snow has been a good prospect for the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas. Before anyone can join the gang, they must show their commitment to the group. They have to prove their loyalty. Proving oneself worthy is a matter of how much violence or work someone puts in to further the gang's objectives. When Snow arrived, he was housed in Dinky's unit. That allowed Dinky to sink his claws into him. Prison is filled with manipulators. Manipulating Snow was easy. Dinky used him as a missile to wreak havoc on others. The circle has now come back to devour him. 2 men, Harley and another prospect, Russ, are dispatched to avenge the blacks being disrespected. Snow was found unconscious, beaten to a pulp. He's carted out of the unit on a stretcher, his head a mass of swollen mess. He has a one-way ticket off this lonely mountain of pain. He is leaving the same way he came in, with a big bang. Both Harley and Russ are led off to the SHU for their 2-week stay. Russ is now on a roll in his pursuit of obtaining a patch. He consistently racks up one violent act after another in the name of the gang he has pledged an allegiance to, the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas. When a prospect completes his probation period for the gang, if he is found deserving, a tattoo representing the gang is inked into his skin, indicating he is an official, real-life gang brother of this crew of misfits. Violence has been on a fast-forward kind of trajectory this week. A guard has revealed to Dinky that a new prisoner from Texas is in for child pornography. There is a sixth sense of excitement. Men salivate when these types of offenders take their chances on USP Big Sandy's battlefield. No mercy will be shown this unsuspecting victim. He has been convicted of committing the worst kind of crime. Victimizing an innocent child is reprehensible. I am perplexed as to why this man would try his luck. Some of these men have never been in trouble before, so they do not know what checking in is or how to do it. And I think some just want to die at someone else's hand. They lack the courage to take their own life. Prison staff tend to dislike child molesters as much as the felons here on campus do. Staff members know what is in store for these men if they send them out on the compound. Staff still send them out with a pat on the back and a silent, good luck. This is what happened with infamous Irish mob boss James Whitey Bulger in another federal prison. Staff sent him to the compound, casting him into a death pit where he did not last 24 hours. The newspaper article is circulating. Child pornographer sentenced in Dallas court. One of the cops printed it off the internet. Dinky chooses one ABT gang member, a prospect, and an independent from Texas for this mission. The 3 assassins enter the housing unit the victim lives in. Like sonar, they lock their eyes on their intended target. Their icy glares freeze him. His instincts tell him they are here for him. The man moves fast, but he trips and stumbles to the ground. Somehow, he makes it back to his feet. Sneakers are squeaking against the freshly waxed floor. The chase begins. Almost as if on cue, a guard exits the office and notices the 3 pursuers giving chase. He hits the deuces. They close in on the sex offender. He is caught. They tackle him to the ground. His eyes indicate a reckless sense of fear for a split second. Then he's stabbed. He looks like a zebra taken down by 3 ruthless lions bent on dismembering him. A shrieking squeal, like that of a stuck pig, escapes from his lungs. Squirming under his attackers, he swings wildly, fighting for his life. Punches and kicks to his head. Another knife appears. For some reason, stab wounds are called hits or shots in here. He's hit in the shoulder blade. Another shot punctures his cheek. There is a mad scramble. Somehow, he is back on his feet. His heart is pounding. You can see it. He takes off running again. Blood mixes with sweat and tears falling from his eyes. He runs around a table and up the stairs. A swooshing sound fills the day room as staff rush in. The victim runs down the stairs. He's still being chased as he runs into the arms of a guard. Staff wrestle the attackers to the ground. I see the depleted man through the officer's station window. He is on his knees crying into his hands, relieved that he still has his life. I think of the children he attacked. I mouth the words, "piece of shit," to myself as I lock my cell door before the cops do. When I turn around, Mr. Young is nodding his head. "What do you think of that one there?" he asks. "Oh, I don't know. I guess he's a dirtball," I answer. "You know, Chad, he deserved what he got. You know, I don't like violence, but on a child molester, he got what his hand called for. I read the article. He was a real trash can, that guy." "Too bad they didn't kill him, Mr. Young," I say harshly. Mr. Young raises his eyebrows. "Nah, son. He deserves to be brutalized from prison to prison. Death is too easy for that son of a bitch. You know they only gave him 20 years for what he done?" "Yeah, I guess you're right. Death would be his way out. 20 years of prison misery might serve him right." The case manager let me read some of his PSI. He was raping his own 6-year-old daughter, recording it and sending it to other people. Real sick puppy there, Chad. "He got less time than me," I say with anger in my voice. "Oh, they don't give them chomos what they deserve. If you sell drugs, they give you 40 years. If you rape kids, you get half of that. Boy, this government sure is stupid." I nod in agreement. "Why the hell would they send him here?" I asked Mr. Young. "Oh, they was hoping someone killed that son of a bitch," Mr. Young says, his face turning red with anger. Lately, Mr. Young has been getting angrier at everything. His newfound anger brings increased cursing. "Well, at least we won't be locked down too long," I say. "We should be out soon. No one likes them damn chomos. They was hoping someone killed him, trust me. That is why the cop printed that article. Hell, the case manager showed me his PSI on that computer back there. Told me old buddy was a piece of filth. She has kids herself. I don't understand how he thought it was all right to just sit around watching the television or even coming out here on the yard. Some of them stupider than hell, Chad. They give it a try. Got their family making fake paperwork for them, saying they're in for selling meth or something. What they don't think about is the staff here will tell their business. They do so much bullshit around here, they don't want no one telling on them, so they don't like snitches or child molesters." "You're right, Mr. Young. When it comes to kids, kids are innocent victims. Predators like that dude strip them of their innocence, their childhood. That scumbag raped his own kid because she was young, vulnerable, weak. Kids look to their parents to protect them. This cat was destroying his own kid. I think they should have killed him." "Now that's where we differ, Chad. Let him do about 15 miserable years, then kill him." We both laugh at Mr. Young's suggestion. We hear the hard metal sound of the doors being unlocked. I jump down from the bunk, knowing that the child molester was lucky to make it out of here today, wounded rather than killed. When one of those men try their hand in a place like this, they will get their due. Because everyone, staff and convicts, is working to make sure that that goal is achieved.